Hey everyone, I'm glad to be here today. It's exciting. Another day, another Pitch It session. My name's Adam Belansky. I am CEO and founder of Sierra Pacific Group and also the creator of the ConnectWise Boss Facebook community. And I am thrilled to actually be doing this together with Sean Lardo. So let's go ahead and introduce you, Sean. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Adam? How are you today, man?
Doing fantastic. I am actually down here in San Diego traveling and doing EO event down here. So it's learning and growing personally and on my business side. It's great.
I'm slightly jealous. Thank you for rubbing it in again. How awesome your life is. Um, but I do want to say, nice job on the video. That was really cool. I like
You
that.
like that?
Yeah, the intro video is
Hey,
nice.
we're stepping this up. I have an awesome team behind me that does a lot of this work and it's amazing. So
It's impressive. I think it's important. It shows your investment and commitment to doing these things, which is whatever. Ultimately, every one of our people want to see. Every one of our customers, every one of our friends want to see a mutual investment. So I totally appreciate that.
absolutely. So you just want to like pitch it again, just brief like pitch
Sure.
it. What is it? What are we doing here?
I feel like we should create a video montage for that, like Thunderdome, like two
Well,
men
we
enter,
should.
one man leave kind of thing. But so just to give the highlights, pitch it. We have 18 vendors that applied. We have more than 18 vendors that applied. We have 18 vendors that actually became contestants in the pitch it program. We're going to spend 16 weeks through an accelerator program with them. At the end of the 16 weeks, we're going to do a preliminary judging to which we will choose 3 finalists. Those 3 finalists are going to be people that they're going to go to IT Nation Connect in November and go on the main stage and present just like a Shark Tank concept to the judges. The judging is 2 different groups of judges, by the way, from the preliminary to the finals. So, and everything for this is for the grand prize. We're offering $70,000 that we're paying for first place,
Dang.
and then 30,000 for second place. But there's so much more value than just the money itself. It is everything like what you're doing with this, the trainings they're receiving, the cameo coaching that are taking place week to week to week. So, yeah, that's pitch it right now. This is week 3 of training, and for cameo
Mhm.
coaches. And yesterday was actually the third one, and it was all about mergers and acquisitions. It was a ridiculously lively, engaging conversation because everybody wants to know what they're doing to monetize in the end. So yeah,
Oh, for sure. Fantastic. So I do want to bring in a Stephen Yu from Adaptive Catalog. And let me just, sorry, clicking on the screen here, trying to bring you in. How you
Hello.
doing, Stephen?
Doing fantastic. How are you?
Doing fantastic as well. And yeah, so give us a little bit, history of yourself. Like, who is Stephen?
Well, it's pretty straightforward. I grew up in Texas, and out of school, I really loved tech. I was an electrical engineer. Went to New York for a while, played in high finance, decided that wasn't quite for me, so I moved to Seattle. And in Seattle, I worked in basically what you would consider a value-added reseller. We sold point-of-sale software. Did that for a little bit, and figured out that sales was something that I was interested in trying to make better because we had a really hard time doing sales, especially as we were trying to put together configurations and such. And so my partner at that time, Kent McNall, and I founded a company called Quozel. That may be familiar to some folks here because it
A
was
few.
acquired by ConnectWise in 2015 and would become ConnectWise Sell. So it was a quote and proposal software that was integrated with ConnectWise and helped create really timely, beautiful proposals. So after that, I decided to take a small break, and then this is actually a really funny story. One of the key things that we struggled with at Quozel slash Sell was kind of sourcing products from distributors. And so we went to talk to a fairly large VAR who sold to school districts, and we were trying to just kind of figure out how do we really get these products. And he told us about a thing called Eatalize at the time. It was acquired by GfK later, and he said, yeah, I use this basically to run my e-commerce website. I took a look at it and I said, okay, well, this won't quite work for the kind of ad hoc proposals that people are doing where they're quoting one-off products or trying to find things, but maybe we can cram a square peg into a round hole. So that's what I did, which was to kind of make Eatalize, which is built for huge e-commerce systems, has this API that lets you query 50 products at a time. It's meant to basically batch files around. And we jammed it into this kind of real-time thing with major distributors, Ingram Micro, Tech Data, and so on. And, I'm now on a mea culpa tour because that thing has stuck around for years, like tens of years. And every CPQ quoting tool out there uses it, but it's just not built for this kind of real-time sourcing. It was built to be a file transfer system for large e-commerce websites. And so this is where I am now.
Well, I think you said it best, CPQ, which is like, I swear CPQ is the Bigfoot of the industry. Everybody has it, but nobody really has it. And it's a great concept. And everybody's seen it, but nobody's ever seen it. I mean,
just so we have the audience all engaged here, CPQ, can you just clarify with the acronym?
I can do that. It's configure price quote. So what a lot of people do, they call it quoting software, but really it's the root of it is configuring, which is getting the products you need, pricing, making sure that's available and that you can actually buy it, and then the quoting is the proposal side, the making it look really nice for your customer.
And if awesome. When you see the most, and again, why I say Bigfoot is because every vendor that does anything has always tried to put together an easy way to pull random price books or products or whatever, and then be able to put it into a very nice, neat package for them to actually put together as a proposal. And it never, but doesn't, in the channel space, it's so difficult because you work with 15 other vendors that all make up whatever you're about to sell to this client. So Salesforce and companies like that have tried to really do it, but it's not really a full CPQ because they don't know how to add services and products together at some point or whatever. There's always a challenge where there's a breakdown somewhere, or to be able to personalize pricing points or whatever. There's so many different issues with it. That's all. So yeah. I totally appreciate the whole proposal piece, though. It's like one of my favorite pieces of technology is how to quote and do proposals quickly.
Awesome. So we actually have quite a few live viewers right now. If you happen to be watching this live, go ahead and ask us some questions. Again, we're here with Stephen Yu from Adaptive Catalog, and we're here kind of demonstrating a lot of the different various contestants here on PitchIT. And ask questions. We're here to ask the tough, challenging questions because you know what? We want to make sure that this software grows, matures, and really is adapted by various MSPs. And how does it solve that business problem that we're trying to get these software tools to do? So, Stephen, we've been kind of in the circles. It seems like, we know of each other, but not really have spoken with one another. So it sounds like you came from Quozel, then it was kind of came into ConnectWise world, and then, kind of took a break. Is that right?
Yeah. So, ConnectWise changed ownership in 2019. Yeah. That was a really
nobody knew about that.
No, nobody knows about that at all. That was a good transition point for me. And so I took a short break, came back reinvigorated late in 2019. My co-founder, Steven Steck, and I founded Adaptive Catalog. And basically, the problem that we were really trying to solve is that value-added resellers and really IT resellers in general, that can include MSPs, but almost any sort of technology reseller has a really hard time putting together a catalog, basically, of all of their parts and services that they sell, and being able to keep that up to date in real time is kind of huge and almost never happens. Sean, you were talking about Salesforce. Well, I know a lot of people have used Salesforce. If you look at the price book, you can definitely see that it is not meant to basically quote anything. It's just kind of the static.
No, right. It's a placeholder. It's a placeholder, and it takes a ton of work from the vendor or the person using it. Whoever the company that bought it, that's using it, it takes a lot of work to build out your price book. And if you're pulling other products from other places as well, You got to get all that in there too.
And then what happens when one of them changes or just gets discontinued? Well,
there's never a time that you're absolutely right. And then you have to, why I think Salesforce admins make so much money. Salesforce admins make a lot of money to basically administrate the pieces in Salesforce, like website admins. It's amazing.
Don't be knocking on the consulting companies and admins. Come on now.
I missed my opportunity. I should have been doing that. I could have been in San Diego hanging out and telling everybody about it.
Yes.
So I know, like for me, dealing with when I kind of came up in the MSP world and using the old Quozal desktop tool, and it was integrated with Utilize. And so my question goes to, it is always seemed like I'm having to search the company's website for a specific manufacturer part number, paste that into Utilize, and pray that it actually grabs the graphics and descriptions and pricing from the various inventory and all that stuff. So is that the gap that kind of you solve, is more real time than that?
That is exactly, as I said, this is my mea culpa tour. I introduced Utilize. Kent and I did, but he's retired, so he doesn't get to do this. I introduced Utilize to the MSP community, I think, and unfortunately, that's what stuck. All of the quoting tools, all the CPQ tools out there, if they use something, they use Utilize or some variant of CNET. And so it has the same challenges, which is, as you were saying, you go to vendor websites, you go to the manufacturer websites, you try to find the right part number so that you can then paste in. Because the alternative is, if you just do a search for an HP EliteBook or for any kind of desktop networking gear, it's going to return a couple of thousand results, a lot of them discontinued. Yeah. And since you can only pull 50 at a time, you're going to be hitting next a lot. I didn't remember this being as big of a problem before the pandemic hit, because I think that inventory was a lot higher. And so you would probably get, 2, 3, maybe 4 hits out of every 50. And you could maybe manage to go through a couple of pages of that and call it good. But now it's just like trying to do that search is impossible. I would challenge anyone who uses any quoting tool, it doesn't matter. If you use this kind of product search without any other backend, do a search for the things that you try to sell and tell me how you get availability and pricing, because you just can't. And so what we've done is we've kind of manufactured this from the ground up. We said, hey, what's really needed? Well, especially with all this cloud power and everything else, we're able to aggregate all the information from the manufacturers, pair it with the vendor data from your major distributors. And then you can do searches now where you say, hey, just show me the stuff that's in stock. You can do a search for an EliteBook. You can do a search for a ProLiant server or anything else. It'll only show the stuff in stock, the stuff that you can actually sell. In one search, you don't have to hit next 50. It's everything that's available and with your prices. And so
with, like, you just mentioned some servers and rambled off some various parts. Now with those, I'll just say an example, a laptop. You get a laptop, does it show accessories as tied to those particular laptops or add-ons that you can get with that? Is that the next version, or you can do that all right now?
No, you can do that now. One of the key parts of being an IT reseller is being able to do cross-sell and upsell. You're not just selling them the server or the laptop, you're selling them your technical expertise. You're telling them, hey, you bought this laptop, but you really need this kind of battery for it because it'll help you do your 8-hour presentations as you're traveling. You need this case because you're going to drop it as you're traveling. Here's a docking station so that you're not staring at a laptop screen. All of these things we bring together because we're a data aggregator of these things from the manufacturer. And so we
is it prescriptive?
Sorry?
Is it prescriptive?
Do you mean, does it do...
So when you buy one thing, you just mentioned like, you're gonna need a case also. So if I go through to order, I order a phone from here, I find it, and we'll then say, just like Amazon, right? People buy this also.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll even one up that a little bit more. So we've built this technology that not only does that, but say you get an email from a customer and they said, hey, my network is down. I need this replacement. We'll automatically parse that email and we'll say, hey, you need a Cisco router here. And on top of that, because of our analysis, we also think that you need a rack because they had it in well, depending on what it is, but they had it in the back room. And so you need the stuff around it to actually make it work. And so we generate bills and materials based on emails, PDFs, RFP requests that come in from your customers, and we'll say, hey, this is an entire build out of what you're going to need to sell based on their request.
So where do they find you? Like, where do they find your product? Like, so where does it reside, I guess is what I'm asking. Because we had this conversation today about MSPs are multiple portals all over the place to do stuff.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So of course, that's the thing. We don't want to be another extra source that you then have to log in, do your other thing. And so we are very tightly integrated. I happen to know how to integrate to ConnectWise Manage pretty reasonably well. So the two places you can go to kind of integrate with Adaptive Catalog from a ConnectWise viewpoint are, you can use the opportunity system. So if you start inside of Adaptive Catalog, because you've done your searches for the parts you need, built out bill of materials, or it just came in because of an RFP request, you built it out. We can push that to the opportunity in its entirety. We generate the products for you. Inside of ConnectWise products, you can do the search. We have a pod in there so that as you're searching for things in there, it'll pull up all of the pictures, the rich content, the marketing brochures popping out inside of ConnectWise itself. And the second place you can integrate is we have a punch out capability so that when you're in ConnectWise Sell or any other quoting tool, as long as they can do a punch out call, such as they do with Dell, instead of hitting that utilize search button, just hit the Adaptive Catalog search. It'll pop you into our search. You do the search that you want. It'll send the bill of materials back, and then you have it right inside your quote.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm sorry, Adam. I'll let you talk in 2 seconds, but I tell you right now, for me, the biggest part that I love about that, when COVID took place 6 months and 2 months into it, nobody knew where to find resources. A, who to order from. B, it was a problem. And then also what was the current prices going to be, and how to package them all. Because we had people that did MSPs that knew things for the first time due to COVID because of a remote workforce. Mm-hmm. And they really didn't know what to do. So, and everybody was scrambling. So I love all this, and I'm going to shut up now. It's on you, Adam.
It's all good. I just, because I'm really, really intrigued by this, because I didn't really necessarily know that there was any necessary, I would say, competitor to Utilize. And it sounds like you're bringing a whole new solution to the marketplace that is directly competing with that. I had the great privilege of speaking to IT Nation share events. If you have not been to those, go to your local share event. A lot of the QA training sessions that were going on, and I actually happened to conduct one of the Sell ones, there was quite a few questions around the whole Utilize and how do you get it to accurate catalog? How come I can't find some of my parts and so forth? And I guess the question for you, Stephen, is what is different about your solution? Is it a lot better success rate at finding those products, or you do daily queuing of the inventory? Like, I'm just trying to understand that maybe the background piece, and maybe that's too much detail.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to go into the background. So we've built our technology on Elasticsearch, which is just a much better way of cataloging this kind of rich, heavy content rather than kind of the old SQL way, which was what almost everybody was doing. And so you see that and again, we didn't specifically set out to say we are a competitor to Utilize. We set out to make product sourcing and searching for within your own catalogs and other people's catalogs really simple. As it turns out, in the MSP space, we are a really good replacement for Utilize because they're built on kind of, I'll call it antiquated technology. And so the thing that we bring to the table is being able to do one search and getting the full set of results. And then on our end, we can do the filtering for you. We can say things like, make sure it's in stock. Here's the criteria that we absolutely must have. It must be made in the USA. It must have this kind of power requirement for California. It must have, the accessibility with this other manufacturer. And then you can add things like likes to have. And on top of that, I'd like it to be light. So maybe under 5 pounds. And finally, you can do the exclusions, things like, you know what, and it's for the government in a secret facility. So no Wi-Fi enabled, no Ethernet card. You put all those things in, we do the processing for you, and we send back one full set of results, only the things in stock with all of those things. And so you're going to get a really concentrated list of, say, 12 or 13 products that you're able to quote right away, versus, as I alluded to earlier, because Eatalize was built with big e-commerce sites in mind, and they send files back and forth, you can only do 50 results at a time. And so certain quoting tools have done things to kind of hide that. Maybe they'll do 200 results because they'll call it 4 times, or maybe they'll show the first results and then in the background they're just like kind of pulling and pulling. But a lot of these generic searches have tens of thousands of results, and so you just like, you're never going to get that full set from a backend like Eatalize.
Well, okay, so are you able to set a standardized search? So let's say my employees, we're an MSP, my customers, my employees are selling, we only deal with these products or these name brands. And becomes a plug and play. Is there a way to set those kind of parameters or permissions so that my guys can't search external stuff for no reason?
Absolutely. That's why you can have your own customized catalog. I mean, I myself am sort of an MSP VAR, and so of course I'm going to solve my own problems, right? And one of them is, I don't want salespeople to sell crap that then I have to support for who knows how long. And so, you're absolutely able to customize your own catalogs. You can even do things like put in notes, specific notes to say, this is something that we sell only to the University of Virginia. And so as you add keywords to your own catalog, as they just type in school or Virginia, it'll only pull up those things that are allowed to be sold. And so if you want to curate and build your catalog, you can just say, these are the only parts that we sell. And we'll also ensure that they're in stock and available.
Okay, so one more drill down on that then, because you made me think of, you said school in Virginia. So let's say that you have a standardized set of everything, your stack that you're using between products and platforms and whatnot, right? And let's say that you have a one-off where it is a government contract, let's say, right? And they have separate rules. You prefer to use Dell, just for simple example, but the government requires you to use Hewlett Packard. Your sales rep may not know this when they come in the door. Is it based off the account, the opportunity, something like that, that'll give the ability to set permissions around that as well?
So we set permissions around catalogs, right? So you're going to build different catalogs. And so what's really going to happen isn't that it's per account. It's more like each account has access to specific, each user has to specific catalogs. So you've probably built your general sales catalog. You might have a government catalog, and you might even have the technology catalog, which is our general one that we provide, in which case it's the set of products that are kind of available out on the internet.
Got you.
Let me dig in just a little bit further, because when we're dealing with government catalogs or special contract catalogs, usually there is special pricing. So a big challenging question is, do you deal with special pricing?
You're throwing softballs at me. I really are. Of course, we have to.
No, because this is a big problem. Because I'm telling you right now, with the competing software Eatalize, it's literally, here's your pricing. Here's what is displayed on the website if it is able to find the product. And it's like, well, how do I apply my price to that? You get all those problems.
Yeah. So we work with MSPs and VARs to put in their own credentials to their major distributors. And so we're able to pass things like, this is a G for a government contract, or this is an EDU K-12 or whatever else. There's certain parameters that can be passed. As long as you're using, as long as you set up your catalog to search with those parameters, you will be able to say, hey, and I want government pricing because this is for a school district.
Well, Adam, you're pretty excited. Why are you so excited, Adam?
I know. It's like, why don't I still own an MSP business and have this software tool built into it?
I mean,
that's what gets me excited. I mean, that's why I love this PitchIT, right? These different tools that just get developed, it's really cool kind of seeing this, and really through the whole pandemic and just seeing people hunker down, develop software, come out with a solution, really focusing, solving some of the business problems. And this has been a big problem. Sourcing hardware, finding hardware, making sure it's in stock at the appropriate pricing. Everybody needs to order it all. There's a big problem in that. And so that it's again, congratulations, bravo, man. This is really cool.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, we're trying to solve a problem, a real problem.
And you're saying it's softballs, right? But I mean, we've all been around long enough to see that sometimes we get so in the weeds with our thought process, the softballs become very difficult challenges because you can't get out of your own, right? How many times have you dealt with it? And Quozo is an example of that. So is this, right? These are all simple things that we knew were issues, and nobody knows how to solve them in the easiest way, or they don't know how to even address the problem. I've seen it a million times.
Yeah, I mean, what happens is people, like everybody else, I'm a business owner. I get into the weeds because I have to, right? Like, I need to get a proposal out, or I need to talk to irate, let's call it, a friendly customer. And so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to solve that specific problem. And you know what? That might not be the best way or the easiest way, and it may involve digging around websites, Google, CNET, whatever it takes, right? And at the end of the day, though, you keep doing that over and over, and it's not a repeatable process. You yourself, the business owner or the principal, end up being like the linchpin that holds this entire business up. And so in order to kind of advance past that, you do need to have a process. You need to build a set of tools that can be repeatable, that can be used to train new salespeople, to train new operations folks, and new technicians, whatever else, just so that you're not the only one that knows all this stuff, and you're not the only one that can do this kind of work. And so that's really, there's a lot of tools out there for various parts of the stack. What we've wanted to concentrate on in Adaptive Catalog is just making sure procurement sourcing is super easy, and that you can have all of your salespeople, instead of digging around websites, pasting part numbers, just have one place to search.
Excellent. So I'm assuming that there is a demo available on your website.
You can sign up for a demo. We have some videos just to kind of show side by side in quoting tool of your choice, doing a normal search, what it would look like in Adaptive Catalog. You can absolutely sign up for information, and we will schedule a demo. The setup isn't super complicated. We have like a setup PDF, but we usually try to walk people through it just to make sure that, especially because you have vendor credentials and such with your vendors, to make sure that you're getting the pricing.
Go ahead, Sean.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I just have a question now. Is this applicable to people that are using master distributors and agents, or whatever they're called these days? I don't know what the name of them.
Oh, telecom is such a messy space.
Right.
So
yes,
we do go to channel events where there are telecom folks, but I'm not going to make these wild promises that I can't keep. Depending on how you get your pricing, because we are a cataloging company, right?
Yep.
We prefer real-time stuff from the vendors, but you can also do price files, and we will load those automatically for you.
So if they're going through a third-party distributor, so you can actually use whatever, because they may have privileged pricing because they're part of that.
Correct. Cisco is that way, right? Like,
yep.
They give MSRP, but no one ever gets MSRP. And so they get like a discount based on their privileged pricing. And so, yeah, a lot of Cisco resellers basically get their own price files, and we can load those in.
Yep. Awesome. That's okay. That's good. That's really good. That's good to know, because again, based off of contracts, based off of third-party distribution, that's a legitimate issue.
Yeah, the more modern the way you get the pricing and the files, the better you're going to get for the results. That's just the way it is.
You take away the middleman.
But I mean, I've been in this industry about 20 years now, so I know about EDI. We can deal with it if we have to. We prefer not to, but
I get it. Yeah. So so come back to even what Adam was even talking about too. So this is a tool predominantly for the MSPs. They become your clients.
Correct. Yes.
Could they also take this product and if they have a client that sells stuff and does this, can they sell to them as well?
We haven't built out a channel program, but there's no reason that you wouldn't, right? Any customer. So it's not even specific to the technology space. The only reason that we kind of started with VARs and MSPs is because it's home for us. We know what it's like. And also the tech is a little bit better. There's a lot more real-time pricing available. And so those things make it easier. But we do have some footholds in like the audiovisual world and things like that, where there's a lot of flat files. And so, yeah, if you're an MSP and you you have customers that are in AV or that maybe even like finance companies that finance this sort of stuff, you can adaptive catalog is something that can work for them as well. We haven't built out a full reseller program, but if it is of interest, we will certainly jump on.
It's always of interest, Stephen, for every person that they can add on to another line of revenue in a simple way. The acquisition cost of that client already existed. They've already paid that amount. Mm-hmm. So if they can add on back to your upsell and cross-sell you talked about earlier, this would be just another piece. And you can correct me if I'm wrong on this too, but I look at this and I, like, while you were talking, I was thinking, okay, this is also a good way to be an ordering system of sorts as well. So if your client is a restaurant and they want to order supplies, not that you're in that right now, because I'm not saying, for everybody out there watching, I'm not saying he does it, but but the concept, right, around it alone, the Sears catalog was exactly what it was. It was a place to order.
Yeah, so that's really funny because one of the first, I'll call it customer interviews we did was with a prison company. Sorry, not a prison, but
company. Wow.
They sell stuff to prisons. So basically, things that you can't make into weapons: toothbrushes, shoes,
nice.
Clothing that doesn't have sharp pointing things. And so again, not our target market per se, but we have e-commerce integration as well with Magento and some of the big e-commerce platforms. And so if I could definitely see a restaurant or at least a restaurant supplier using adaptive catalog to kind of keep their catalogs upload to whatever their e-commerce suite is so that it can kind of keep inventory up to date, pricing up to date, and based on some margin. So we do have some automation to e-commerce. And so it is something that is usable if that's of interest. Again, sounds like yes.
I mean, I think it's pretty awesome. I just try to think of the possibilities, and I think of what I experienced even personally. And if you can create a product that can serve many purposes, a one-to-many, it just makes it more advantageous. I feel like it gives you more chances to create revenue. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think the sky's the limit on a lot of, because the search problem in general is something that a lot of businesses and even individuals really run into on a day-to-day basis. And so certainly I think that it's a blue ocean. At the same time, we're a startup, we have limited resources. And so the lowest hanging fruit for us is the IT world, the VARs and the MSPs. And so we're of course going to focus on that. But as those avenues open up and as our customers ask for these sort of things, we're certainly open to adding to our tech stack.
So awesome. Let me just ask this kind of a little bit more. See that I keep thinking these are like maybe tough questions, but what is the typical integration time? Do you have coaching? Do you have video tutorial you take people through when they go to sign up for your product through your website? Can kind of walk through that onboarding process?
Yeah. So the onboarding, again, it depends on how complex you want to be. For the MSP space, which is probably typical for ConnectWise, the onboarding is about a 3-hour process. And that's a lot of that is actually me or someone on my team hounding you to make sure that you get the right credentials from your vendors so that we can integrate. The actual ConnectWise integration itself, it's a one-page PDF. We can get it done for you within 15 minutes. Making sure that all of your vendors are integrated so that you get the correct pricing. Again, typically a couple hours, and that's a couple hours of coaching time, but it could be a week of real time because you're waiting back and forth on emails or whatever else. Sure. And then of course on the high end, if you are a VAR that sells millions of dollars to the Department of Defense, you're going to want to set up very specific catalogs, and that's going to take longer. So we have longer implementations for those sort of things. But again, gotcha. it can scale to your type of business.
Okay, cool, excellent. So, what do you hope to get out of PitchIT? Being a contestant, winning this prize. What are you hoping to achieve here? What's even just talk about adaptive catalog? What do you hope to achieve with that company?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I'm just happy to be back in the ConnectWise ecosystem. I feel like I've missed something. I went to IT Nation again for the first time after 3 years or something, and I was just like, this is home. So I think PitchIT for me is a little bit of a homecoming. Just yay, I get to talk to all of these folks that I've interacted with in the past, and I'm just always happy to talk to former customers, current customers, things like that. As far as adaptive catalog, I really hope that to participate in PitchIT and to participate in IT Nation in general is just to get the word out that there is a better way. I feel like a lot of people, as I alluded to earlier, get some way of working and then they just kind of forget about it because they say, okay, well, this works well enough. We can just, it's something that our salespeople have to deal with. I don't have to deal with it. So they can do the searches on the web. They can copy and paste part numbers. And so I'm really hoping that we get some visibility and to just say, hey, look, there's a better solution out there. Give us a try. It's you really have nothing to lose because the first time that you find a part within a couple of seconds instead of however long it took you before, you've probably already saved your monthly cost, if not more.
Well, let's talk about that for a second there, right? The one thing I learned, I've done sales for a long time. People lose business due to lack of velocity and response in quoting, right? So, I couldn't begin to imagine this insurmountable amount of money people have lost over the course of everything. So, really, especially, and a lot of my friends are MSPs, and they're usually the worst at it too, because it turns into some sort of quandary math formula of, if it's on leap year, we're going to charge a different amount. So let's rethink the Mayan calendar kind of thing. And you've seen it, and it happens. So all of a sudden a quote never goes out. And so if you guys ever, and this is, I'm speaking selfishly, of course, I always hated it. So I love the fact if you're going to give me the ability to pull up stuff quickly and launch it. But now the question is what do your partners look to save in time and money? Have you guys quantified that yet?
So we've quantified it for certain segments. For an MSP, It's a little harder to quantify because so the biggest time savings is kind of for the larger VARs. And the reason why is because they'll get 4,000, 5,000 NASA soup contracts or Department of Defense contracts that come in, and they won't look at them all. But if they feed it through our system, we can match at least whatever percentage, let's call it 20, 30%, and say, hey, here's a part list for what this department is requesting. And so for them, it's new revenue that they never would have gotten, right? So that's like massive, massive savings, time savings and new revenue. For an MSP, if you're doing, let's quantify the MSP side, right? If you're doing $1 million in hardware sales annually, you're probably going to be spending something like, let's call it 30 minutes to an hour per proposal. For $1 million in sales, you're probably doing something like, I'd say 2,000 to 5,000 proposals to get out the door. And so in a year, again, number of salespeople and so on, in a year, you're probably going to save a good 2,000 to 5,000 hours. That's the straight up time that you get back.
And I guess that's based off of the amount of transactions, right?
Yeah, it's totally dependent on transactions. The more transactions you do, the more you're going to get some time savings. And I realize a lot of MSPs don't do a lot of hardware, but even with the services, because you're going to do services that you tack on with the hardware and even those kind of searches. So let's say for a more typical MSP, maybe you do 10 to 30 proposals a month, and then maybe let's call it 200 to 300 a year. That's still a good chunk. Let's call it 200 hours a year of savings.
Well, I think if you could break it down to exactly, I think in a salesperson's mentality or a sales VP of sales mentality, they're looking for the conversions, right? And if you could say and when we talk about sales enablement, because this is a sales enablement tool in its own sense, I think, because that's part of your sales, right? If you could say for every transaction you're able to save 5% of whatever that is, then you do the math, just like you do a lead, like when you look at the amount of leads it takes to hit a certain dollar amount, how many transactions in between. Same rules would apply.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it'd be the easiest way. So if you could, I think it would be impactful instead of speaking of hyperbole for anybody, MSP, to know that if every single transaction I do, or every single quote I send, or every opportunity that I work, because let me say transaction, let's say every opportunity, because that's what they're doing, not a guarantee of closing. So every opportunity they work on and every potential upsell they have, they can get to it. They're able to actually do it within this time frame, save this much time, and also see an ROI of X. I think that's the story.
Yeah, and the reason that I didn't want to get on specific numbers is we've been trying to do some case studies, just kind of like analyze exactly how much time is saved. Anecdotally, though, I can definitely tell you, as you're quoting, save 5 to 10 products, you're going to be saving a good 5 minutes per product, because searching the websites is just horrendous.
Amen. Amen. And I have one last question from something you said earlier. You had said during the onboarding and setup, as long as their distributors are in they're in the system, in your system. So which means as long as you're already currently working with them. So if they already go to, they have vendors that you already have in your system, it's no big deal as long as it's standard pricing. Okay, so
not standard. It's their pricing, so they can get their specific pricing.
Okay, so if they do, what's the time frame turnaround for somebody that, let's say they have vendors that aren't in your system?
Yeah, so that's depending on whether we need to build out an integration, that could take a couple of months. But remember, we do deal with EDI, we do deal with price files, and so as long as they're able to get a price file, we can load it into their catalog. That is part of what I consider the 3 hours of setup.
Okay. No, that's fair. So if you negotiate, hey, we don't have the integration now, 3-4 months down the road. In the meantime, the replacement is the file.
Correct.
Then and that's on them to bring you the file.
Yeah. So again, most major distributors, if they don't have this kind of XML real time, they will have a price file. It'll come via FTP. We'll automate all that. They don't even have to bring it to us. You just give us the credentials to the FTP site, and we will pull it down for you.
That's the question. Good. That's what I wanted to know. I didn't even throw you a softball. I just gave you a roundabout question. You have to work for it a little bit. So yeah, I appreciate it. That was good. I see this as being a sales enablement tool through and through.
Yeah, I think for sure it's, and that's kind of how we're positioning it. It is sales enablement. It's sales acceleration.
Sure.
It makes it so that at the very least, you either turn around your quotes faster, or more likely you do more quotes, because it makes, I won't call it fun, but it makes it easy to actually get these quotes out the door. And as I said, especially if you're an MSP or VAR looking to grow, and you are trying to get into the world of more RFP responses, more of these kind of, the big government or school contracts that you don't really have an idea how to get there. We're able to help you with that, because we're going to be able to help you say, hey, look, just get this list to us. We'll put together a bill of materials for you. So then you have a lot less work to get this proposal out the door.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate everybody's time on this. I know we're running out of time real quick. Steven, I just want to have you, any closing thoughts, anything you're working on, anything on the roadmap, any last minute thing you got to say?
No, it's just, I mean, we have a lot of things on the roadmap, including pinging you guys, Sean, to let us replace your search rather than just this punch out, which is a little unwieldy. But
are you pitching me now?
I'm pitching you. I'm saying I absolutely think. And again, it's not even. I'm not even trying to sell it to you. I'm just saying, give me a little bit of your dev resources so that your customers have an option when they hit search.
I feel like you're selling me right now.
Maybe I am. I am a natural salesperson, I've heard. So
you can't help yourself. It was very natural sounding.
Yeah, that's our big roadmap item. We have integrations to ConnectWise sell right now through the punch out, but it would be so much better if we could also just when you hit the search button itself, just call out to us specifically. That's kind of my big ask.
What a quagmire this is. Yeah, I love that. That's great.
Interesting. So
and it's recorded.
Keep going. Exactly. So Stephen, any fun fact about you that we may not know?
Well, I mean, as you were talking about earlier, I do dance Argentine tango. I did actually do some competitions when I was younger. Now I'm not so spry anymore. So I teach Argentine tango to some high school students through Big Brothers Big Sisters. I love rock climbing and getting outdoors. This is why Seattle is perfect snowboarding out there, and
Hey,
I definitely wouldn't trade it for anything.
Mr. ConnectWise Evangelist, I think we need to have a breakout session at Connect, maybe a little dance class, something different, unique, spin it up, like not just high schoolers, MSP business owners, service leaders, sales leaders. Let's just get everybody dancing on that IT Nation Connect.
Hold on. I'm not saying it's not a good idea, but it's not a good idea.
Bunch of IT guys learning to dance.
A bunch of IT, right? They're going to be disgruntled.
Or ladies, sorry.
I have more faith in the women doing it because they're probably in better shape than the rest of us. We're not in good shape as men. We're bad at this, It's
I'm just now having to Google this Argentinian tango. I'm thinking, is it different than English or German tango?
It is. Argentine tango is kind of the original tango, and so it's quite a bit different than just the standard ballroom. It's a little more I'll call it interaction between the lead and the follow, less pattern recognition.
Awesome, Sean.
I just want to find you dancing.
I do have some videos, but I'll let you try to find them on your own. I feel like it's not quite the place
you're gonna have to go Google search
those.
Dude, I'm very good at doing this. I'm gonna find you on this.
I will certainly add you on Facebook if you find me, Sean.
I'm like on YouTube right now looking as we're talking.
In fact, there's probably a video of me from one of the IT Nations dancing tango because I've done that in the past. Now this is like maybe 20.
Do you have like a stage name? Do you have like a stage name?
No, this is the only name I can find.
To protect the innocent? I mean, I get it. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find that.
All right.
Oh,
so, in respect of everybody's time here, Stephen, really, really awesome. This is really cool. A nice technology. Sean, any closing thoughts?
I don't know that I can top anything we just discussed. Let's be honest. No, honestly, I would say, Stephen, this is good having you on. I'm glad everybody gets to see who you are again. Your reemergence back into the ConnectWise world. I'm excited to see what you do. I love the concept already. I told you that, but obviously I'm not a judge. Thank God. Yes. No, thank you all that got a chance to watch us. We'll be back next Tuesday. I think we're changing the time, but we will be back on next Tuesday and Thursday again with some more people. So that's all I have, man. Thank you, Adam, for having us on and hosting us.
Thank you so much for having me on. This
is fantastic. It's awesome. I really appreciate you guys, everybody, for joining in live, asking those questions, and just watching this back, right? There is a lot of innovative technology in this. And I know that Jason McGee on stage with Last Connect really kind of pushed the message of innovating faster, investing in partner growth, and really just easier to do business with. And you do all those things with this particular software. And it's really cool seeing all these different software solutions within the PitchIT competition really evolving and growing and really hitting that stride. And I just want to say, anybody out there want to ask the tough questions, engage with Stephen, join our ConnectWise Boss Facebook group, cwboss.com. And that's where you can just engage with the various MSP communities that use all the various ConnectWise software products. So thank you, everybody, for your time. Really appreciate it. And looking forward to seeing you next Tuesday. I believe it is at noon on Tuesday.
No, I think we changed the time because we'll be at Secure.
It is going to be at Secure. So it is actually at 1:30 Eastern time, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. So looking forward to seeing everybody else out there if you're joining us live. Stephen, thank you very much. Sean, it's been a pleasure. Go grab a drink and cigar.
Always a pleasure.
Coming up
Thank
soon.
you so much.